Now in this video, I want to show you exactly how to install the entryway organization area for the back to school with the kids. They need a place to put their backpacks, their coats, their jackets, all of the different school supplies, and this is going to be the perfect place to be able to do this. Now I'm going to put a link in the comments below to the first video that showed exactly how I made all of the different components. I pre-positioned all of these pedestals exactly where they need to be, and they actually are 16 inches apart. Of course, this first one on the left goes right against the wall. Now the wall itself is very heavily textured, and it has these very deep grooves in it, and that is not part of this design. So that actually gets covered up with another component that I made. So let's get started with installing the base and installing these pedestals. So I had all of these cut to the exact length that I need, and I'm just going to simply nail them in. Now the baseboard is the baseboard that I've actually shown how to make in a previous video, and I'll put that link in the description below. As far as putting the baseboard in between these, it was very easy to do. It was just a matter of cutting each of these to the 16-inch length and then just nailing them in. Now this is going to be able to hold the base of the pedestal. I know that they're going to have boxes or some type of container to be able to slide into this space, and I do not want these pedestals to move at all. So the first step is to put the baseboard in, and then I'll slide the pedestal right up against the baseboard itself, and then I'll put in the next piece. So at this point, the baseboard is doing two things. It's maintaining the spacing that I need, which is 16 inches, and it's holding the pedestal in the exact location that it needs to be. Using the level, I want to make sure that the pedestal is completely plumb, and then I'll secure it to the wall with a screw at the top. Now that takes care of the back. It is secured to the wall, it's spaced evenly, it's plumb, and it's not going to move. But yet, the front still has a tendency where it could be moved left or right just a little bit if it was hit by a box or basket or whatever they have sliding in and out of this opening. So it's going to be critical that I secure the front of these pedestals also. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and slide down to each one of these pedestals and secure the top to the wall itself and make sure that the back is completely stable. Now I want to show you what it looks like all finished. Now you also notice that there's quarter round there. In the original picture that I had received, they had quarter round that was installed around each of the pedestals. But a last minute decision changed that, and they decided not to put the quarter round around the pedestals. It's time to install the bench top itself. Now to begin with, I'm setting it up on edge right back against the wall. And I'm taking the level and I'm going to draw a plumb line from the inside edge of these pedestals. Now I'm going to use a white pencil to be able to draw the line so they can easily be seen. And this is going to be an important part in securing the top of this bench to the pedestal and making sure that the front portion of the pedestal does not move. Here's a quick look at how I set everything up. You see the bench top is leaning against the wall, and it's right in the corner exactly where it needs to be, and you can see the white pencil line drawn vertically right on the edge of the pedestal itself. And then I'm going to take a piece of wood that's 2 inches wide, which is also the same dimension as the interior measurement of the pedestal itself. Now this forms a cleat, and this cleat is going to be able to go right down inside of the pedestal itself, and that will hold the front part of the pedestal where it will not move, and it will also hold the bench top itself so that it cannot move left or right or backwards and forwards. It's going to hold everything in place. These cleats are nothing more than 3/4 inch piece of plywood that was cut to the proper length and width. And again, the width of these are 2 inches. Now what I decided to do is double up on these cleats So I put a second cleat on top of the first one. That makes it where it's just a little bit thicker and it's going to be easier to nail the front of the pedestal to these cleats. And that way nothing is going to be able to move. The pedestal won't be able to move and the bench top itself will not be able to move. So again, this is a very easy, simple, straightforward method using the cleats to be able to secure everything in place. With all the cleats in place, it's time now to be able to lower the bench top, and these cleats will just drop right down inside of these pedestals, and that secures everything. I'll take the nail gun and shoot a nail into the front underneath there from the pedestal into the cleat. And here's a look at this portion all finished. I gotta try it out. This works perfect height, very sturdy, and well, the dog has to come and say hello also. Now it's time to add the next piece. Now this is the white 1/4 inch plywood that I had cut in the shop, and it's cut to fit already. So all I needed to do is set it in place and then nail it in. Now I'm going to be nailing into these edges so that I do not have to worry about any type of nail holes, because I have strips of wood that's going to be going over on top of this. Now this wood is already, again, pre-cut, pre-painted, and this is a 1x3. I took the 1x4 material, cut it down to the 3 inches to match the width of the pedestal itself, and these strips of wood add that depth and the shadow lines that are needed to be able to create the look of that original picture. As a reference, the measurement of this plywood is 4 feet wide, so I did not have to cut anything off of that, but I did cut the length of it down to 79 1/4. Now remember, the bench itself is 80 inches because I'm going to put a piece of 1/4 round on that end to be able to cover up the rough edge of the plywood. Now it's time to go ahead and add all of the vertical strips. Now these strips are also 3 inches wide, and again they match the exact size of the pedestal. As far as the length, they're 44 5/8 of an inch, just a little bit short of the edge of that plywood, because the top piece is going to go over that little seam so you won't be able to see it. So all 5 of these will go into place. I'm going to measure just to double check to make sure there's 16 inches between each of these to correspond to the exact measurement that I have for the pedestal below. So if you stand back and look at this straight on, the pedestal and these vertical strips will all line up exactly the same. There was no need to measure the left side and the right side because that's right where the plywood is. But to put in these remaining 3 pieces, yes, I did mark the 16 inches, so I know exactly where it's going to go, and absolutely I'm going to use a plumb line here with this level to make sure that those are exactly plumb. And that gives me the reference line that I need to be able to install these strips. And again, they line up with the pedestal underneath. Now normally I would put in the bottom strip first, and then I'd put in the top strip, and then I'd put in these individual pieces in between. But in this situation, I can't do that. The primary reason is that the shelf brackets must be secured to this board first, and I have to be able to screw it in through the back. And if I had pre-installed it, well, that wouldn't happen. I do not want the screws and screw holes showing in these shelf brackets. Now as far as this last vertical piece, I am verifying that I have 16 inches on each side just to make sure that it's centered. To position these shelf brackets exactly where they needed to be and to hold them in place temporarily, we use a little bit of CA glue to hold it. And that way I can flip this board over and screw in from the back side and secure the shelf brackets. So this is what it looks like with all of these shelf brackets glued in position exactly how it needs to be. Then we flipped it over onto a couple of sawhorses and we added the screws from the back side. And that's going to give me plenty of strength and support for these shelf brackets. And of course, you don't see any screw holes screws or anything in these shelf brackets, and that's something that was very important. So this was the best way to be able to hold these shelf brackets to this top board. I also had added some scrap 1/4-inch plywood as a spacer, so when this top piece goes on, it actually sits flush exactly as it should. Now you can see this going installed, and I'm going to start out and I'm just going to nail it in place. Then I'll follow up with some long screws that will go into the studs into the wall. Having all of these individual components all pre-cut, painted, it makes the installation so much easier. The only thing that we'll have to do is come back and fill a few little holes and caulk if necessary on the edges. But other than that, this was in essence like having a complete kit ready-made to be able to just assemble on the job site. It made the installation of this whole entire project take less than 3 hours. And that allowed for time to play with the dog and, of course, spend a little time with the grandkids. The top shelf just drops right on top of the shelf bracket, and I did put some screws through the top of the shelf down into that shelf bracket. Next, I used a blue tape to put across here to be able to mark exactly where these coat hooks need to be. And there I just used an awl, marked a hole, and then screwed them in place. It's so much easier to be able to use the blue tape like this rather than try to make little small pencil marks on the white paint itself and then try to erase it. Use the blue tape, you'll be glad that you did, because it makes it so much easier. You can make the marks, and if you make a mistake, just make another mark. You don't have to worry about having your trim all marked up with the pencil marks. So this is a pro tip that I want to be able to give to you to be able to use this. And now that with everything marked, I can remove that blue tape and then put that final screw in to be able to hold the coat hooks exactly where it needs to be. This gives me the perfect alignment and no marks on the paint job. So adding these coat hooks was the final step to be able to complete this project. This actually was a very fun project to be able to do. I had a lot of fun designing it, working out all the little details, and then building the components to make the installation here in the home very, very easy. So hopefully you can see with just a little bit of planning, you can build just about anything that you want in the shop and create components, have it all pre-painted, stained, varnished, and then just take it out to the home and be able to install it with very little mess and the minimum amount of time in the home. So this entire project took less than 3 hours from beginning to end being able to install this. So I'm real happy how it turned out. If you look at the original picture that I was given and then make the comparison to this, to the final project in the home, I think it matches quite nicely, and being able to add the additional space for that fourth basket is perfect. So thanks a lot for watching this video today. I hope that you was able to learn a few things, and if you did, by all means, give me a thumbs up. So hit that subscribe button right down there below so that you're not going to miss out on any of the videos. Being able to build projects such as this in the shop and create the components make it so much easier when it comes time to be able to install them. And I hope this video helped you. Now, if you take a look at this video right up here, it's going to be showing another home improvement project in the bathroom where I designed and built the cabinet to be able to put into the home. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video. So for now, bye-bye everyone. See you real soon.